Hello, everybody. It's John Browning with the Building Your Life podcast. We are back again today with Anastasiia Schillinger. Anastasiia, thank you so much for taking some time to be with us today. Anastasiia is a certified self compassion coach, which I had never in my life met someone like you until it's been a month and a half ago.
Yeah, something like that.
But as we were getting to chat a little bit, I think there are some really interesting things that align with building your life, not just your portfolio, and some of the real problems that we run into here at Guardian Rock Wealth when we talk with clients and prospective clients. And a lot of times, our current clients will talk to us. I wish someone would call you. I wish you would spend some time with so and so, but they won't call you. And there's just some reasons for that. So before we jump into it, Anastasiia, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you serve people?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you, John, for having me here. I'm very excited for our conversation. Again, my name is Anastasiia Schillinger, and I help people to build inner resilience and achieve their goals with the power of self-compassion. And you did mention that you've never met anybody who is a self-compassion coach before, because it's something that we just don't think of. But I'm a big fan of self-compassion, and I think related to our life, our money, our love, anything, it could just make our lives so much better.
I like that. And what we do here at Guardian Rock Wealth is we really look to empower individuals, business owners especially, to live their best lives now, but also pay their future selves so that they can live their best lives during what some people refer to as the golden years. And yet we find that so often there's been some decisions along the way that have put them behind where maybe they think they should be. Or there have been some things that have happened in their lives that were completely beyond their control. And frankly, so many times it has nothing to do with it being there, in air quotes here for those that are watching on video or not watching on video, think that, oh, this is all my fault. Now, I agree that we do need to have extreme self ownership. We need to own whatever has happened to us and everything else. But the fact is, many times we simply haven't been taught. We're unaware of certain things. And other times things just happen. Life happens. And you had spoken to me earlier, and I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on this about, as we run into this all the time, is about financial shame, debt issues, and things like that. Do you run into that in what you do every day?
Well, yes, and I think that when we talk about the money, money is the tool, right? For
Right,
us, like you always say, for us, it's actually, I can see it behind you, building your life using the tool we call money. And it's
right.
very true because it allows us to live the life that we want, right? But then it's also so emotional because it's this the way this we spend our money. It's just talks volumes about ourselves, our personality, what we value in life. So now here, this is where shame comes in, where we end up in a position where we don't like what's happening. We don't want to share about the money. Money is like nobody talks about it. How much you make, you never want to share. And um, like you said, this is where the point is where you have to realize that you need some help, right? You need to learn perhaps what you need to learn. You need to move forward. And self-compassion steps in here to help you in this moment where nothing seems to be working right, where you feel shame for what you're spending, for what you're not making, when you feel like it's not enough, right? In this moment, it's okay to say that you did what you could and you're here now and acknowledge it. And this would be the point for you to grow. right? Because a lot of the time, what happens is people have the idea of how they would like it to be, the ideal person they would love to be, wake up at 6 a.m., go on a jog, save money, don't spend on some, I don't know, luxury skincare products, be very simple and very smart. And in reality, they wake up at 10, they overspend, they watch their favorite show till late. So self-compassion teaches that you are that person now, right? To make any change, it's okay to be who you are. And from that point, you can get some help. And there are tools for that. And I'm sure there are tools. What I mean is there are tools for that from self-compassion side. And I'm sure there are tools for that from your side. When a person, I'm actually really curious too, when a person is in that position of despair, maybe they have debt, maybe they feel like they're not making enough, and they come to you, what would you tell them to do?
Yeah, we actually deal with this more than people think because our main clients here at Guardian Rock Wealth are successful business people, business owners, often high net worth individuals, but very often they know of individuals who are struggling, and for whatever reason, either they're related to them or something else, but they're concerned. They've got compassion for these folks, and these folks tend not to want to talk to somebody like myself or somebody like you because of this extreme guilt that they carry on their backs, and it burdens them down and lives with them every single day, and they live in this not too strong a word, in this agony of just not just debt on their credit cards maybe or at the bank, but emotional debt. And the truth is, we are the anti-judgmental space here at Guardian Rockwell, because I think after 30 years, I may have seen it all. But every time I say that, I see something new. I can tell you that I certainly have not gotten it correct. There are things that I so wish I would have started earlier. I so wish I wouldn't have done this. I so wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish, even working on Wall Street, I have seen, and I was that person. I mean, maybe folks are out there that are like me, where I was a high earner on Wall Street. I was making plenty of money. I could go out and just buy a car with cash, things like that, right? I mean, and we just did it. We just spent, and we weren't thinking through paying our future selves and preparing for the future. I wish so bad I would have started earlier and wouldn't have done the things that I do. So I think it's important to realize that although we live in the social media society where everybody looks all happy and rosy on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever it's not Twitter anymore, X, or wherever you might look and see people. And of course, out in the real world, everybody dresses up and looks their best, right? Nobody wants to look depressed. And I get that, and that makes a lot of sense. But the reality is, about 100% of us have made some mistakes in our lives.
Mm,
And on top of that, there are a huge percentage of folks. The largest cause of bankruptcy in the United States is healthcare debt.
mm,
You typically did not do anything to have a healthcare problem, but that can be devastating. And there are things that you can do to work through that. And the problem is that people feel so ashamed. Maybe they've gone bankrupt, or maybe they're near bankruptcy. And they may be getting advice that, oh, you should just go bankrupt. Well, that might not be the correct advice. And it often comes from, say, a bankruptcy lawyer who might have, maybe some confliction there as to the advice that they're giving out. So coming and speaking with somebody like me, and I give my time to folks like that, and they're more than welcome to schedule some time on my calendar just to talk through their financial situation and not be afraid or ashamed or anything else, and nobody else is going to know about it except for me and them. And I think you would probably do the same. That's what you do, right? You help people through that. Now, of course, you have to eat, so there's a charge for your services, and as there should be, but it's not exorbitant. My guess is it doesn't cost $10,000 an hour to speak with you, right?
It does not. In fact, I in my life encountered many professionals who would not share their price with me until the very last point, and it just would leave me in such emotional disturbance, like, because I was so invested in working with this person, and then it would be so much that I couldn't afford it. So when I started coaching, I said, okay, it has to be clear, at least for individuals. For the corporate clients, I work out a different way, but for individuals, you can look on my website and you'll see the price, and that's the price. And the first chat, first conversation is always free. So that's the way I do it. And I think from what you've said earlier, I want to point something out. You said it's a non-judgmental space to come to speak to you or to me in that sense, right? So there are people who could help you with that. Or if you don't want a professional, somebody who would have your interest in mind, maybe your friend, maybe somebody who's close to you, right? Just to make that step and open up. And the second one that you've shared, you said you worked with all kinds of people, you're going through all kinds of things. And that's another thing self-compassion teaches you, that you are not alone, because social
Mm-hmm.
media and everything else makes us believe that everybody else have it together, but you don't. But this is not true. And this is one of mindfulness of the first principle. And the second, common humanity, that you are not alone. You're only human. So it's not that making a mistake is wrong. It's just a part of the experience for you to be on this planet. So if that's a mistake about money, if that's a mistake about love, if that's a mistake about anything else, it's kind of prerogative that you would eventually make it, right? So don't be so hard on yourself, right? So that's
Yeah.
something. And speaking of the free uh, principles, the third one is self-kindness. And this
Mhm.
is where the work with inner critic comes in for me. Negative self-talk. You have to notice what you say to yourself to make
Mm.
that step and to change. Because a lot of the times, who are telling us we're not making enough? We are. Who are telling us, we could never afford this or that? We are, right? So just paying attention and being like, oh, well, could I maybe instead ease up a little bit? If I can't even support myself at this point, maybe I need to ease up a little bit on this, criticism, right? So
Right.
it's a process. It's a process for sure. So yeah.
Yeah. I read a quote. It wasn't really talking about this topic, but I think it holds true. It's that mindset eats tactics for lunch. So like you can give people tactics and things that they can do to get themselves in a better mindset, mind space, and move them forward. You can give them some tools, as can I on the financial side. But until they get their mindset right, it's really hard to use those tools effectively.
Yes. And let's expand on it a little bit, because we spoke before and you mentioned there are actually some tools like, I don't know, you said put your credit card in the freezer. Is that one of them?
That's right. Yeah, that's one of the old ones is to literally freeze your credit card, put it in a plastic Ziploc bag, fill it with water, put it in the freezer. That means you have to really think about it and you've got to really want to use it before you use it. If you think that you've got a problem with impulse buying, maybe it's the Amazon. By the way, I have counseled people through an Amazon addiction, right? You scroll through, ooh, gotta have it. Ooh, gotta have that, And I mean, it's a real thing. It's absolutely real. Shopify, whatever your
Right. And I heard
whatever it is
about,
that is your
I,
Achilles heel, right? That's one tactic.
exactly, yes. And
Right.
I heard about not putting your credit card, not save it on your computer or the phone. So every time you buy it, you actually have to put all the information
All the
again,
numbers.
and that would allow you to think before you make that purchase, right?
They make it way too easy to spend money.
Way
You
too
know,
easy.
Disney was the first one. I blame Disney because goes way back, but it's even more now. They give you a little wristband, and you just beep as you go. You go buy things. Beep. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you just spend $20, $50, $100, and make it so easy. And all of a sudden, you're in a problem situation with your debt, right?
Right.
Now, if they made it that easy to save, which by the way, we have some tactics that make it that easy to
Okay.
save, and it becomes a habit, a good habit,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a tactic and a tool that we can use to help you pay your future self and build your best life. One of the things I wanted to mention to folks, just so you know, because maybe we've got somebody out there that says, I'm underwater, no possible way I can ever get out because I'm making basically exactly what I make, and that is exactly what my bills are. There is even a tactic out there, and I call it a tactic. It's not a strategy because we don't want to do this long term, but there is a tactic out there that can get you started. Now, it takes a while. You've got to be patient, you've got to be consistent and disciplined to dig yourself out of that. And I won't
Mm-hmm.
go into exactly how to do that, but it's a way of paying your credit cards. You don't necessarily pay any more, but you get ahead of the credit cards because the credit card companies are not on your side. The banks are not on your side. I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I can help you beat the credit cards and the banks at the temptation game that they play with you and that feeling of despair that you have.
Yeah, and I think, well, it's important to know that there are those tools and you can, like you say, help yourself out of the situation. And I think from some of the self-compassion tactics, right? Because let's say you're in a situation where you need to make a financial change. First, take care of yourself. Go on a walk, drink enough water, eat healthy food. Because if you're tired, if you're not sleeping enough, if you're not, yes, I see the water bottle here on the, so exactly. Then your body is not going to handle it properly. You need to take of your body first, right? Then another thing is realize where you are, what you could do and what you cannot do. Maybe small goals, right? Start
Mm.
small to, like you said, to honor this consistency. And
Yeah.
another thing that I want to point out is we're often so much in our heads. We think, especially with impulses, we're like, oh, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. And in this moment, I invite you to pause and pay attention what's happening in your body. In those moments where you need to make that fast decision, just pause. Does it need to be that fast? Like there's sales every day, mostly, every month for sure. Does it need to be that, right? Take a breath. See, is there tightness in your chest? Is there tightness in your stomach? Are you like, what's going on with your hands? Like, are you breathing fast? Why is it such an emergency? And this is what I also teach when I work with people is mindfulness, right? Just pause. What's going on for you here? And another question of self-compassion is, what do I need right now? Or like I like to say it, what do I really need right now? Because it may seem you need a cookie or a new thing from Amazon, but what do I need right now and in the long run? And I feel like that so much resonates with what you teach, so honoring your self now and your future self, asking yourself that question: what do I need right now? And in the long run, what would be the most helpful? And this from the self-compassion perspective, which is making the best decision for yourself, one step at a time, small decision, never small decision. This is how you get out from that. Yeah.
I think that is a huge thing that you just hit on. And the idea of even rewarding yourself and having a system of rewards, because if every time you go to the gym, you are making yourself exhausted and you just absolutely hate a particular exercise and you keep trying to do it, you're going to quit. If you go to the gym and then after the gym you have something that enjoy doing more, like going for a swim, I don't know what it is for you, right? It's different for all of us, but if you don't have a system of rewards in place financially, in the world of nutrition and eating, if you don't have a system of rewards in place, yeah, that's when people fail, and they set themselves up for failure in that way. You've got to celebrate those wins. And I love your idea of pausing. And Bridget Hom, which is another guest that we've had here on the Building Your Life podcast, often talks about pause with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing, I found it very beneficial for me personally to do what I have another individual that I have come to know, and another networking group that he does breath work. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
in the world is breath work? And it is essentially the idea of pausing with a purpose, getting
Yeah.
yourself into the moment. And this can help you with sleep. It can help you in the middle of the day. It can help you just take that deep breath and think about what it is that you need, what it is that you want, and determining the balance in a moment of time. Am I getting that kind of right?
Yeah, exactly. And then again, maybe what it is that you're avoiding. What do you need to over consume for in terms of anything? What is missing in your soul? That's very deep, but it's true. All comes down to this, right? And the speaking of the reward system too, why would you go and do the exercise you hate in the first place? Right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
choose something that you like, or at
There,
least hate the least.
yes,
And then
that's
maybe, you get a cookie and then you're self-compassionate and you think, I really can't eat gluten. Maybe it's a gluten-free one. And here we go. Right? So again, it comes down to that. Let's just make that decision for ourselves that is good for us, that we can enjoy and keep moving. And it's enough of already like punishing yourself for everything.
yeah, and I think that's what we tend to do. I've heard the statistic, don't know if it's true or not, is that roughly 80%, which is the way we're wired, 80% of what runs through a normal humans in America head every day, 80% of it is negative. If we don't purposefully pause with a purpose, right? Purposefully replace those negative thoughts with some positive ones, then we're going to beat ourselves up about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And just being aware of that, I think, is a huge part of it. But most of us, including myself, need some help doing that. And we kind of get buried in ourselves, especially if we're older and we've been doing life for a long time. We can get buried in that, and that's what you're here for, right? That's what you can help people get to a better place and help them decide what they need versus what. No, I think I want that. I'm just making this up for whoever. I don't know what makes your life your best life, but for my wife, I'm going to tell my wife here. Hopefully, she doesn't come in and beat me over the head.
Uh-oh.
But for her, going and getting her hair done, or going in a mani or pedi or whatever that is that ladies do. I mean, that is she needs to do that. And that costs some money. But if she doesn't take some time for herself and do that, it piles up. It's cumulative, just like debt is cumulative, just like investing is cumulative over time. That emotional debt is also that way. So if you don't take time for that self-care and recognize that as a need, not a want. Now, anything to excess is probably not good, right? But is that kind of what you talk to people about and sort of helping them define what is a need versus a want and kind of where the excess is versus where the need
Right.
is?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always such a fine line. And I think what you mentioned about self-care is very important too, because we have one side of people saying, oh, like spending too much, then the other side is thinking, well, I can't, I have my reasons, maybe coming from some beliefs from the family, or I just can't do it, or I'm too afraid to lose all the money. And I really just live that small, small life of fear, and I can't, right? But what happens really is again, we work, like you said, with wants and needs, and how do you see your life? How could you honor yourself, right? There's a price. How much would it cost you? Maybe for somebody who has, you know, income and they could go and do mani pedi and feel good about themselves. It's beautiful. I love that too. I think it's just, makes me feel like a better person and gives me more energy to do other things. Maybe for somebody who is really at the point where they cannot, there's another way of making, maybe taking some time doing it at home and then eventually going somewhere, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's always you can go to all the people trying to, and they all will give you advice, but really what we're trying to do here is help people find out what is most important to them right now. What do they want to do with their life? Where do they want to go? How would they want to spend their money? Right? And sometimes it is trial and error. Sometimes you look on Instagram and think everybody's going on vacation. If I just go, I'll be a new person. And you go and it's hot and it's humid and you don't like the water and they don't speak English. And you're like, you know what? I just want to go upstate and sit by the lake and I don't know, do fishing. And that would be you, right? So it's all, again, trial and error. You're going to make mistakes anyway. So just do it in a bit of a more mindful way, exploratory way, right? Because that's what we're here for. I think sometimes to just explore, to really study ourselves and the world. And we got really deep here.
Yeah,
And
well, I think we need to realize, right? I hope the audience here realizes that you may need some help with this because we get stuck in our own worlds. We
Mhm.
only see what the algorithm of Google or algorithm of Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever wants us to see all the time. And if we never go see somebody like yourself and just be vulnerable because you're not going to judge them, you're not going to share any information that they share with you, and just get some good solid advice on some of the stuff, your life could be so much better. You could think about this. You could wake up in the morning with a load off of your shoulders. You could go throughout your day without constantly thinking about all the negative thoughts that you have, how maybe you're not as good as that next person, because the reality is, again, let's mention this one more time, what we see out in the world is not reality. Reality is what we have in here, and it's who we are as people, and recognizing that and what the tools even are to use makes all the difference.
yes, and also I think sometimes people think, oh, this is not for me. I really don't think like, you know, I deserve it, or really I want this because why? But the reason is really because you can make your life better. So if you wanted to make your life better, you could use help. And I think it's amazing that we have so many people helping other people. That's how it works. So yes, I think that absolutely. If you could go and get help, go and get help. Help yourself. You don't have to do it alone. That's not the point at all. Anybody who's successful, people help them along the way. So,
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team.
yeah,
Go with
exactly.
somebody who's helping you. And there's just so many. I could give you so many analogies, so many true to life stories about how this absolutely 100% matters. You look at military stories. It's not SEAL, it's SEAL team. It's not SEAL team 2, it's SEAL team 6. I mean, there's generally 6 to 12 people in a SEAL team, one of the most efficient fighting forces in the world. And when you go into do the training for something even like a Tough Mudder, which seems like a single person thing, you find that those who help each other along finish more often than not, and they finish well. And the same thing in business, the same thing in financial matters. You've got to accept somebody else's help, and most people are more than willing to give it. And frankly, if you're like me, if you're like yourself, you like giving it as well. And what is the best way, Anastasia? I want people to give you a call. And like you said, your first conversation, which is what about, is it 30 minutes long, 15 minutes long?
Usually 30 minutes. Yeah.
30 minutes, invest 30 minutes, and it's 30 minutes of your time. It's free for the first 30 minutes, and
Yeah.
you're very upfront with your pricing.
Yes.
And talk with Anastasia. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So, first of all, my website would be anastasiaschillinger.com.
That's
And
easy.
that's not easy, but perhaps maybe you could share a
I will
link.
put it in the show notes for sure.
Yes.
Just yourname.com. You've got your
Yes,
own
just
website.
myname.com, and you could and it's also my email at gmail.com, just my name. And it's either you email me or book a 30-minute session on my website, and that's great too. And look, 30 minutes here, we talked about so many things. So maybe for some people that will even be enough, and they would
Yeah,
always come back when they want to.
right. Yeah. And those of you who are not regular listeners to the Building Your Life podcast, you can reach me at guardianrockwealth.com, or you can text the word light. Just grab your cell phone, open up the text app, 321 421 5213, and send the word life, LIFE, and you'll get all of the links to all of my information. And I put a lot out into the world. Doesn't cost you a thing, including the Building Your Life podcast, as well as a daily market update. If you want to kind of scooch past all the headline news and dig a little bit deeper into what's going on, got that out there. And also, we do a written monthly blog as well. One just came out just before we started recording here, and that's on the website at guardianrockwealth.com as well. But I hope that people aren't feeling that shame or guilt or whatever it is that we feel so much that we don't reach out and get somebody else's opinion. We don't pause with a purpose just because we're so overwhelmed by circumstances, because there are tools out there that can lift you out. And sometimes you need an actual hand to lift you out, to grab your hand, pull you up out of there. So live your best life now. And also, you'll be able to live your best life in the future. So, Anastasia, thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking some time to share with us some of your expertise. And I'm looking forward to getting this out there so people can know who you are and understand you're out there looking to help.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I enjoyed our conversation so, so much. Thank you.
All right. Well, I will see you probably later on this week because we're going to get together on Thursday with another group of people. So looking forward to that. And we'll see everyone else on the next podcast.
Yes.